The Fed's worst nightmare is going on right now, and we are going to explain why it's important, not just for the Fed, but for you too. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you. I'm going to show you the charts. We'll discuss this, and we have to look at what's happening, not just with the Federal Reserve and these guys that are unelected. We've got to talk about you, the individual. Look, the prices of things are going up, and we keep hearing about this major deflation that's going to take the world by storm, and it's going to make everything cheaper for you. Don't worry, I got you. And in reality, what's actually happening is the prices keep going up and up and up, and we don't see it letting out down anytime soon. There's just a problem here because the solution to this crisis is what they always provide: more debt, more money printing, and more of the same. When have we ever had a difference in policy? That doesn't occur. You could look back as far as you want. They always do the same thing. They debase your currency. They used to clip the coins. They used to dilute the money in some way. Now they just add more zeros into the accounts and shift that money somewhere around the world. And here we go at the end of this system where it's not a good thing that we end the current one, because let me tell you, what's coming next is even worse. I want to show you what's happening today. Starting with this, you're getting a lot of these type of articles being written. Steve Cohen says the Fed may have a hard time getting inflation down to its goal. There is an issue because, as we have always said, I mean, this is, from the beginning, that when you get to a certain point, inflation becomes sticky. It's hard for certain things to come down. That was the expectation, and now we're dealing with this. Of course, at the same time, the Federal Reserve is unable to move any higher on their interest rates without sparking chaos. Uh-oh, do you mean that they're not done yet? I thought it was all over. Powell said it was going to be done. Well, we'll see what happens, of course, in time. In the next few months, we're going to get some major news. Is it going to be a rate cut, or are they just going to hold where they are? That's what I want to know from you. Let's poll the audience down below. Will we see a rate cut in June, July timeframe? Will we see, leaving them where they are, the rates, or will we actually see a rate increase? I would like to know, and we can all see each other's comments and kind of have a good idea of what people believe is going to happen. Accelerating super core inflation poses a problem for the Fed. The so-called supercore inflation re-accelerated in March, raising more uncomfortable questions at the Fed. You can look at the different measurements. Is it core inflation? Are you looking at the PCE? Are you looking at the CPI? It doesn't matter where we look. Ultimately, what's important to you is the fact that prices have been rising. I'm going to show you some charts, and you can visualize what's actually happening when you look at the numbers. I know that inflation is everywhere, every single part of my business. The price of the things that I have to deal with have gone up. Some of that stuff is just a pure ripoff. But of course, this is, regardless, you gotta pay that amount, whether you like it or not. With inflation back up, the long predicted storm clouds in the economy may actually be forming. And so you could see this, different measurements, as I've said. Progress on inflation is moving in the wrong direction. New inflation numbers come out. They say that they're increasing. Where is this? This is both on the consumer side as well as the producer side. So the raw materials in that instance have been increasing. We're looking at gasoline increasing. Things are going, as they say, certainly in the wrong direction. Economists who predicted no 2024 interest rate cuts blames the Fed for inflation's resurgence. And so we're seeing a lot of this right now. These things change fast. Over the last few months, we've seen the Federal Reserve going from, well, I'm not so sure, and it's going to be for sure this, and then suddenly they're back to this again. I, of course, don't know. What they're starting to talk about now is the middle of the year to look at rate cuts. Powell said this in the last meeting. They never did. This was like a big change, and I did a video about it at the time. Powell had said, we are going to start looking at rate cuts. They've never said that. They always said we're data dependent. We're going to make sure, all this stuff. But they actually referenced that in the FOMC meeting, the conference that took place. And so you get these guys coming out there with their predictions and things. I don't worry too much about that. I worry about how people are affected by the decisions that are made. That's what's really important. This shows us the PPI, the producer price index, which is basically the way that we look at like the raw materials, which eventually makes its way into the consumer price index, or CPI. And so you could see right there that it has surged to a level we haven't seen since earlier in 2023. This is definitely not what the Fed wanted. Like I said, it doesn't matter about the Fed. Who cares about these unelected guys? What we need to realize here is that if it's surging, well, that means they can't cut interest rates anytime soon. And so the pressure mounts. All the problems that we had a few months ago, or, time flies, a little while ago, is just going to be even worse. That second wave could be absolutely worse. You're looking at the national average gasoline price. $4 is sort of a psychological breaking point. When we get to that level, of course, you might see difference in Texas to California, huge differential there. But when we get to like that $4 level, just people are like, I can't take this. I don't like this. I don't like the guy in charge. I want the next guy in. They start to get frustrated. And of course, this is something that even if you, the individual, can do without, or you can reduce your consumption, it's still, everything is being delivered. Everything is moving from one place to another. They start putting fuel surcharges on all of your bills and things. I mean, it's ridiculous. But of course, they never seem to go away, even when the price comes down, right? What about this? So it would have actually been much, much worse. But look here, PPI gasoline prices, seasonally adjusted and actual. Seasonally adjusted, those were down. Hey, everything's good, right? That's why the PPI didn't go further. But you're looking at the not seasonally adjusted. Oh, actually, it's up 6.3%. The seasonal adjustments are there. I know this, well, you can't, well, it makes it, better to look at they shouldn't do any seasonal adjustments, in my opinion, because that is literally an intentional skewing of the numbers. But here we are. And so what happens here is we go into this massive debt at these higher interest rates. And as I've said before, that we are paying an enormous amount on interest before the things that we need as people are given to us. All the basics. This is just a breakdown. You could look at the ins and outs of government. But you can see here for the United States, U.S. interest payment scenarios. U.S. interest payments and rates projections. So you can see the projection depending, like, are they going to cut? Are they not going to cut? Okay. So if they keep rates stable, that's the light blue line. By the end of 2024, $1.6 trillion. If they cut by 1.5%, okay, several rate cuts, December 2024, 1.2 trillion. Either way, it's absurd. The potential of $1.6 trillion being paid to interest before your roads and bridges are getting worked on, before your social security, before all, I should say the social assistance programs, all of that stuff. The most important thing, the thing that they will not be able to cut out, is the interest. Now, what do you think that does to the fabric of society? Of course, it creates a problem. And you wonder, oh, you know what? We need to vote this guy out. We need to get the next guy in. Oh, you know what the issue is here? Oh, it's that politician. No. You have to understand something. This comes very fundamentally of how this system was created out of debt. It's done on purpose. What we're seeing today is simply all a part of the plan. If you agree with me, hit that thumbs up. If you disagree, hit that thumbs down. That's what it's there for. Look here, U.S. interest expense versus defense. I love that word, defense spending. Here we go. Looking at this, you could see gross interest expense that has, obviously been increasing over the last few years, just compare that. I mean, it's crazy going beyond defense spending. Of course, it doesn't include the black budgets and things, but it's getting oddly close to how much the United States spends on Social Security. And that's a problem, right? That you see that doctors making $350,000 are struggling to find Long Island homes. They're making $350K. Of course, they're not taking home $350, and they can't find a home because the homes are $1 million. And those, I'm sure, are probably fixer-uppers, and they don't have the work from home. They don't have an office, a room for an office, or maybe, they got 2 kids, they got 3 kids. There's not enough space. So, of course, it's not a $1 million home. It might be a $2 million home. It might be a $3 million home, and so on. You got to realize what's happening here. This is a debasement of the currency, intentionally done so that you have a lower and lower and lower standard of living. If that doctor making $350 cannot afford the average home, what does that put the average guy? Of course, that's a problem. And so that's why I've been telling everybody, you've got to start making much more just to be able to live that average life. So no longer is average salary or average household income giving you the average life. Not at all. In fact, it's about to get much worse. This is why I try to help everybody on my live sessions. There's a small group of people who actually want to know, who actually want to make a difference in their life, who actually want to be able to take, well beyond anything that is going to be taught to them by anybody. And that's what I do. Fridays, we talk about finance. Sundays, we talk about online business and beyond online business. And I hope you'll join there. Link in the description at the top. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button on the way out. And don't forget as well, tomorrow, I'm putting out a video that you got to watch. I'll see you then. Take care.